Now that the assembly is all back together except for the brakes, it's time to get our fluids out. So, as we know, we drained all the fluids, including clutch fluid that is leaked absolutely everywhere, gearbox fluid, which is filled under the car, and our oil. Don't want to forget any of these. Like I said, I'm gonna have to get it off of jack stands and onto wheels so we can go up and down. So first of all, before we do any of the engine oil, we're going to be doing the brake and clutch fluid, and then we'll move on to the next section. This kit here is out for a very specific reason, and that is because we are going to be winding back some of our calipers, and if you own a JDM car, this kit's a must-have. Because one of the bleed points isn't open and we don't have fluid in the system, I should just be able to put this 5 block out of the kit onto here and then just slowly wind these back in, because we've been messing around with where everything is, and it's just good to bleed them while we're at it as well. So it just clicks on there, it's hard to show on camera, into those 2 grooves, and then I'm ratcheting close. So now we've got a new caliper on this side. I know the red, the silver, these will get painted, just need to get the car running for now. What I'm going to do is put these bolts on. I need new ones of these, so I will replace them. They just go back on the caliper carrier. I'm going to do the bottom, slot the brake pads, shims, and pop the grease on. Then we're going to do the pads. And now that's my side in. The only thing I've got to do is reconnect my banjo bolt line to the fresh washer here. Now very carefully that side's back on, and we're going to be bleeding the car from this nipple. But before we do that, got to do the other side. Now this side is on, and if we go over to the other side, that is also on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the brake master cylinder, which is this one here. It's the brake and clutch. It's the cylinder at the front, but not the specific clutch cylinder, which is underneath the car on this engine. But we need to make sure that we keep topping this up with fluids as we're doing the bleeding process. I've also purchased a one-way valve to hopefully make it easier. Since the reservoir is this side here, it means that we're going to be using the bleed nipple on the rear right-hand side of the vehicle, so the passenger rear side, because essentially that is the furthest point from the reservoir, and we're essentially flushing the whole system throughout the whole of the clutch and brake systems. For this, there's different fluids you can use. They say .3, .4, it's the exact same thing. There's .3 in .4. So I have an old amount of it that we're going to use first, because this needs to be used. If not, we're then going to move on to the new stuff. To be fair, this feels like it's got enough in there to do the whole thing, but we'll see. And this stuff is always useful to have. However, you have to be careful because it does expire. So this is the first time I've ever used this type of bleeding technique, so you're going to have to bear with me, and I think I'm going to have to set it up. So this is the one-way valve system. Then you've got 2 tube outlets, one which is just to pour the fluids out, the other one is to attach to where the fluids are coming from, so an inlet and an outlet tube. And then there's 2 of these little ring clips to pry on to make sure everything goes tight. So what's cool about this kit is it has a little arrow that you can just about see on there, and it comes with these clamps here, and then one also to connect to whatever you're bleeding so that it doesn't come out from the pressure. Just super cool. Now for the MR2, I believe it's an 8mm spanner, because I've done this quite a few times. Yes, it's an 8mm spanner. So I'm just going to take this bleed topper off. This just covers the bleed nipple so that it doesn't get damaged, because these can get damaged very easily. So I'm just going to pop that off. There we go, let's not lose that. And then I'm going to attach my bleeding system to the tip and then undo this. Well, I can undo this now because we've got no pressure in the system. You do have to be extremely gentle with these and not over tighten them as well, which is something to keep in mind, because usually that's how they break and then you have to replace the whole caliper. So literally that tiny little twist there will be more than enough to let out the fluids. Okay, so because my bleed nipple is slightly bigger, I'm gonna have to use a different section of tube than the one provided, but that's totally okay. So for me, I've got a different section of tube, but we should still be able to see the one-way valve working, hopefully, because I'm kind of intrigued to see how it goes. but essentially this is now loose. So when I put fluid in and pump, it should let air out of here, but not out of everywhere. So I'm going to just give that a little bit of a tighten there so we don't have all the fluid jump out straight away. And let's go top up the reservoir. Now I have overfilled the reservoir. Reason being, it's all going to get pulled into these calipers. So now if I go into the cockpit of the car, I should be able to just pump the brake a couple of times. That is completely to the floor actually, which is crazy. So I might have to bleed the master as well. Just gonna give it a few pumps and see what happens. I still can't feel anything yet. So there's a chance there is literally just nothing in the system. Let's see if we can get some pressure going. I'd imagine this is so loose because we're gonna have to bleed the cylinder from underneath as well. Let's test the brake pedal. Oh yeah, I can definitely feel some air bubbles in that. By pumping up, I'm essentially building pressure. So we'll bleed the brakes first and then we'll go to the master cylinder under for the clutch. So I've pressed that a few times. We're now going to go check the front. So have we got through any of the fluid? Not much has moved, to be fair. Some of it, but not a lot. And then we're also going to go over to our valve system here and check if anything's actually been let out through this, which so far I can't see that anything's come through. So we're going to go inside and keep pumping. As I'm pushing and holding, sorry about the light, I can feel that there is fluid now coming through the systems and into the calipers. So I'm just going to keep repeating this process and hope my one-way valve over there is doing something. Might get Lex to show you guys on the camera. Is anything coming out?
Yes.
Air bubbles?
No, it's liquid.
It's pure liquid?
Yeah. Yeah, liquid.
Okay. But there's no air bubbles going back in, is there?
No, all just liquid coming out.
And it's not just sat there bubbling, is it?
No, it's solid liquid, there's no air in it.
So that's a really good sign. That means we're doing it correct. So I'm going to top up the system and I'm going to keep going for a little while.
Okay.
Were you recording that, yeah?
Yeah.
So just going to top this up and I'm going to get Lex to go have a look again. And we're just going to keep pumping through because I want to flush the whole system because the system's going to have so much water in just from being sat. Because essentially brake fluid is hydroactive, I guess you could say. It draws moisture towards it and then gets inside. So then when you have water, it doesn't compress the same way as your brake fluids and everything. It's like when you have oil on top of water, they separate, but that causes issues. And water's compressible, whereas this fluid is less so, it's more dense. So let's do this a couple more times and see if we've got any air bubbles and go from there.
Yeah, we're all good. There's some air.
How much?
Quite a chunk. Keep going. Yeah, okay. Air's good. Yeah, a little bit of air.
But it's not going back in, is it?
No. Yeah, bubbles coming out but not going in. Same again. Yeah, fine. Fine. Yeah, there's quite a lot of little bubbles in there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to eliminate all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few bubbles. Still a few. Still a few. No bubbles. Yeah, none. None. Oh, one.
So next to bleed, also make sure nothing is leaking, are these two hard lines up here that you can see here and here, and this hard line here which we removed and replaced back on earlier, and then also here. So this should be, I think it's a 10mm. So we're going to try 10mm. Again, you have to be very careful with these because they're very easy to snap. Oh, I'm hoping that this comes off easily or easy enough, but it should just undo. And then this is where we're going to bleed the clutch from. So my master was a little stuck, so I've just used a deep 10mm. I should be able to just undo that ever so slightly, so again we can just get fluids through, so that feels loose enough. And then again with the one-way valve, making sure it doesn't leak on me, we're just going to put it on this nipple here, this bleed nipple. Make sure it's nice and tight on there so that we don't get any air leaks through. And we're going to repeat the same process that we did last time. So pressing the clutch pedal, up, down, up, down, up, down, and pulling all the fluids through. Now that's all set up, let's go press the clutch pedal. So this time, pressing up and down on the clutch pedal, which is just dropping to the ground, over and over again to try and get some fluid through the system. And because I'm an idiot, I forget that on this model there are 2 reservoirs, so that's for the brake separately to the clutch, which is that one. So should be able to open the top, have a look, and oh
no.
Yeah, so I only use dot 3, but dot 4 is fine because dot 3 is in dot 4. So just looking at that fluid, that is way too dark, like super dark. That is full of water.
Chocolate milk.
The forbidden chocolate milk. So hopefully we're able to push some liquids through this. This does not look great though. Whoa. And we're instantly overflowing. Yeah, you can see, oh, that's the cap, that's not the fluid. I was freaking out. Oh no, the fluid is still really dark. I forgot that these have like this little cap here. But when we're pressing on this, this should start to pull some through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Lex to press it while I'm underneath the car, because I might not have undone that bleed valve enough. So this is the clutch pedal, not the brake pedal. Yeah, press it and see if anything happens. Oh yeah, there's some air through this. I'm just going to undo it slightly more.
That's so weird, just being like, it being so like
floppy.
Yeah.
Just give me a second. I'm just going to undo this bleed valve a little more because I might not have undone it enough. Let us mess around and get back to you on this. So whilst Lex is pushing that, I can start to see some fluids I think come through, and they are very, very contaminated. So let's go to the front and see if any fluids are starting to actually properly come through yet, or if we need to build up more pressure. This is a very slow process. We might actually have to lean the car flat, possibly. See what that does. But I mean, it's working, just very, very, very slowly. So we're trying a different system with the one-way valve. Lex is pumping the pedal loads of times, and then she's putting her foot all the way down, and it seems to be ejecting liquid. So I'm going to go check the reservoir to make sure it's working. If not, we might have to go back to the old school method. So the one-way valves worked for the brakes, and it's sort of working here, but Lex is going to be in charge of this reservoir, and I'm going to try a bit of old school. So just taking the 10mm wherever we put it, Lex is going to pump, check the liquids in there, and I'm going to just open and close the bleed valve and hope that works. Yeah. Right, go again. Brake fluid is the worst thing to get on you.
It's too late to do anything right now, but we have left a brick on the clutch pedal, so hopefully it will bleed itself.
Oh, you're on.